A lot of people wonder why people like Lego, and they think that it's either stupid or pointless. I have thought of 10 different reasons why Lego is good and the benefits of having it. The first reason that I think Lego is a great thing is because it is very arts based. It is very creative and it uses a lot of colours in one single set if you have a set, and it can use even more colours if you make your own mocks. And this allows you to enjoy art on a 3D level that you might not get if you were doing a painting or a drawing or something similar. And it also is very physical in how you can use it to create art, because you actually feel each individual thing when you place bricks on top of other bricks or different pieces together. This makes you feel a lot more involved than, say, something like painting, because you're actually using just your hands. You don't need equipment or any materials to do it other than the product itself. I feel like Lego is great for people who like sculpture work as well, because it makes you feel like you're sculpting something, but other than using clay or something that you have to heat up to make solid, technically Lego you do, but it's done in a factory, not by hand. You're still getting something that you can display or put on a shelf, and you get a big variety of different shapes out of one single thing. I also think it's clever how that you can, even with only a certain amount of pieces of the same shape, you can make so many different things that are completely unrelated to each other. Anything from making a classic car to a bouquet of flowers. Lego is a type of art that could get someone into art even if they didn't like art before, because it is so different to anything else in the art world. However, it can still be classed as art, and if you don't believe me, then feel free to visit London, because in London there is an actual art gallery that is dedicated to purely people who create art using Lego. Also, at a lot of colleges, if you study art, you'll find that quite often they allow you to use Lego as a medium for your artwork when creating it for a course, which just proves to me how useful and how important it is in the art world. I think that might be partly why I got into art so much and wanted to study art as well, because also I felt like that, as I've always liked Lego and that I liked it from a young age, that I was into that sort of thing, and I liked creating my own things, and it's one of the first things that I ever did when I was younger that involved creating something of my own, as opposed to just doing a hobby that is general and not specific to that style of creativity and passion. So I feel like that is a lot of the contribution for that. So that is my first main reason that I think Lego is great and that you should like Lego, and why I recommend it to anyone. The second reason to like Lego is because it's something that you can do with other people. One person can build while one person can get the pieces that you need, or one person can look at the instructions and tell you which pieces to use. This makes the experience a lot more enjoyable when you can talk about what you were building with them. Also, if the subject matter of the set that you are building is something that you both are passionate about, then it makes it even more enjoyable. This would also cut down on the cost of sets, as if two people like the same set, they can share it as opposed to having one of their own. This transforms a somewhat solitude hobby into something that can be sociable. The fact that you can put instructions for sets on screens now with a PDF means that sharing them with another person is even easier, as you could put it on a laptop screen so both of you could look at the instructions at the same time, Or alternatively, one of you could have the book and one of you could look on a screen. Or if you want to, you can simply pass the book to the other person. Even getting sets can be a more enjoyable experience if you do it with someone else, as it feels more rewarding and more of a benefit to someone else other than something for yourself. Also, if you get stuck on part of the set, or there is some technique that you feel the other person is better at, they can do it and take over. And then if there are repetitive parts of the set that require you building the same construction over and over again rather than having to repeat the same things for yourself, you could get the other person to do the duplicate of that part of the build, which means that it might be less of a long thing to do. If you want to finish a set in a certain time frame, also it will mean that the sets will be done quicker, but that is obviously not the main reason to do it. The main reason is so two people can enjoy the same thing. The third reason to have Lego is because it is also great to make stop motion videos. A lot of animated films use stop motion to move around the characters. You can do this with Lego too, because you can simply use a camera and you can move your minifigures or your pieces into different ways and different shapes and record it by taking a photo each time, and it will show the movement. Things like this can be seen in the likes of the Lego movie, which proves how well it can actually work, and it can be a great way of getting into making your own films and videos, and you can also promote them by putting them on YouTube or showing them to people. It's not easy to make effective and well done animation with stop motion, but if you do it right, it can look really good and really impressive, and it is a great way of telling a story with something other than people in real life. Or, as can be put another way, it is a good non-live action way of telling a story. Another good example of how animation is used so effectively can be seen with companies like Aardman, which makes Wallace and Gromit, and how they use clay figures to do something similar. With Lego though, you obviously have even more possibility because you can stack your pieces up in a certain way that means that you can make the characters look like they're moving in a more human-like way, because obviously they can hold certain things, the minifigures, such as accessories, which is great, and it's easy to do because you can attach them with the connections of the Lego pieces. It would also take less time than using clay or something similar, because you don't have to paint the pieces that you want to use, because you already get Lego in so many different colours that you have so many options when you're creating something new. Stop motion can be very entertaining as long as you keep your slides between each photo at a very low time frame, so that you don't have lots of choppy images that have too much gap in where something moves from one place to another. I've tried doing stop motion myself before. It didn't turn out that well because I didn't get the time frames down low enough, but the overall effect and the story that I created was still fun to do, and it was still something that I don't regret trying, and it's a great experience to do. If you don't like stop motion and animated type designs of videos and creating that sort of thing, then that's fine, but it is a great thing that Lego has to offer, and it's something that maybe a lot of people don't necessarily do, but it's something that almost anyone can do, because you don't have to have loads of fancy equipment to do it. You can just use a camera and simply take a photo one after the other, and you can get that effect. Obviously the more equipment you've got, the better it will turn out, especially for editing at the end results purposes, but it can still be great, and it is one of my top reasons, I feel, although there are lots more, which I will explain now. Reason number 4 for having Lego. It's a good investment. It's something that goes up a lot in value, especially on the secondary market, and even more so when a set has retired or been retired for quite some time. The biggest themes to have a significant profit are ones such as Star Wars and Creator Expert modular buildings. If you sell your sets on places like eBay, you can sometimes get double or even more of your profit back on the sets that you've sold. I feel like this sort of counteracts the argument that people give about the cost of Lego, because yes, it might be expensive, but if you ever decide to sell any of your sets because you either want to get a new set or you just don't have the space for it anymore, then that way you can get your money back or even make it more money. So you're actually not really losing anything, which is a big thing compared to a lot of other people's hobbies where you can't necessarily get that money back. Reason number 5, it doesn't require looking at a screen for hours. I know I said it earlier on one of the previous steps that you can use your phone or your laptop for looking at the instructions of the sets, but you don't have to. That's what's good about it. You get an instruction booklet with the set as well, so you can just use paper and look, which is a good, nice change from lots of other things in everyday modern life where you have to use a screen. It's nice to give yourself an excuse to not have to go on your phone or your computer and give your eyes a rest while still doing something that's visually good to look at and enjoyable. This also means that you get a break from anything connected to using a screen as well, such as from social media or from looking at your latest news feed and seeing bad things that you don't want to see. You can leave that to one side for a while, as you don't have to worry about that because you're doing something else. Also, that means that you don't need to rely on if your battery in your phone is charged up to if you can do the sets or not, because you can just do it whenever you want and however you want and wherever you want. That's what's so good. That's one of the big things for me about doing Lego. Number 6. It's challenging enough to gain your attention, but not so much that it becomes annoying. Some things that you need to make yourself just feel distracted from something else that you don't want to think about are usually might be difficult or might be overwhelming in a way that then that is what annoys you instead, and that's what is bugging you because you are feeling frustrated with something that you can't do. However, with Lego, I feel like that it's just the right amount of difficulty, because it's not so easy that you could do it blindfolded, but at the same time you can let your mind rest and it doesn't take over your entire thoughts to the point where you feel like it becomes a chore. This is why it's great for people of all ages, because the difficulty isn't that much varied between sets, although there is some depending on how many pieces it has or the shape of the set and the pieces it uses. And even if there is a part of the set that you get stuck on, it's quite easy to get advice on what you've done wrong, as there are so many YouTubers and other people you can ask to see what you've done wrong. And because Lego isn't permanent, you can take bits apart. If you do something wrong, it's easy to fix your mistake. And it's not even necessarily that frustrating to fix, because it's quite enjoyable trying to work out what you need to do to fix the problem, because the whole point of Lego is working out how construction is designed. So it feels like in some ways it can add to the experience sometimes. Number 7. It helps promote other companies and licenses. Lego are known for the fact that they do a lot of collaborations with other companies such as Disney, Levi's, Adidas, and even such ones as IKEA. This helps not only Lego themselves to gain more money, and also therefore means they can make more products, but it also helps the other companies, and some of the other companies are smaller than them, so it will help increase their sales, which will be good for the business and therefore help the staff get more money too. This also allows fans of other companies to be drawn into Lego and find interest in it that they might not otherwise have found, such as Star Wars fans who might have never bought a Lego set before but see the latest Millennium Falcon set and be persuaded to spend their money on it and buy it because it's such a big thing to them in terms of the theme it's connected to. And once they've branched out and reached these other companies, it gives them lots of different possibilities of what they can do with their designs, things that they wouldn't normally be able to do on their own, such as with Adidas designing some trainers that have Lego style to them. One of the other more recent collaborations, like I said about, that's IKEA, is one of my favourite collaborations so far, because it means that you can store Lego in something created by IKEA while still having that brand connectivity. That means it feels like a genuine product of both Lego and IKEA, so it's not something that feels like it's not designed for that purpose. It feels like that using it for what you want to feels like it's intended, and it makes it feel like a better use of your money and a better use of design. Although Lego, when they aren't working with other companies and other brands, is still amazing, even on their own, I feel like having that mixture between the two of their own stuff and working with other people gives more variety to an otherwise more same like back catalogue of sets and merchandise. Reason 8. It brightens up your home. A lot of people like ornaments in their home, but the problem with normal ornaments is that you just buy something and stick it straight on the shelf. And although that might be good for some people, I feel like with Lego it feels more worthy of its place and the space that it takes up, because you've actually gone to the effort to make it from scratch. And when you display it, you can look at it each time and think that you built it rather than just bought it. That's why I feel like it's a better argument for when people say, why would you buy Lego, what's so expensive, when you can just buy a replica of something else and just put that on your shelf? Because that isn't the same. You don't get the same experience of building it, and you don't get the same experience of individual pieces that you get to put together. And the other thing is that Lego is significantly colourful when compared to a lot of other ornamental things. I mean, I do like stuff that's just ornamental, such as ceramics and things like that, or things made of metal, but they're usually darker in colour. Whereas if you get something from Lego, say for example Ninjago City sets, they are full of colour and they will stand out in a room that might otherwise be bland or boring, and that can make you feel more at home when looking at it, because your display or your shelf or wherever you are feels like it's got something more personal and something that you deliberately went out your way to make and enjoy, and you chose. That's something that is passionate and another hobby to you. It's not just an ornament that's something like purely displayed. It's something that's also your hobby, but also you can look at each day. And now, in more recent times, they're even doing Lego sets called Lego Arts, which are actually mosaics, and they're done in a frame, so they're actually designed to be put on a wall like a picture frame. So that makes them feel even more like something that you can use in your home to draw colour and attention to, because they don't even take up as much space as some of the 3D sets do. So even in your living room or your kitchen, you could even put them up, and they wouldn't look out of place with other ornaments, because from a distance you could even think they're not Lego, even though you yourself, as you built it, would know that it is. So you'd still get that same enjoyment from a non-Lego fan's perspective, but also knowing yourself that it is Lego, you would also get that perspective of enjoyment. Reason 9. If it breaks, you can easily rebuild it. This is something you can't do with something like ceramic or even wood. But because Lego is plastic, it's obviously quite durable, and also because it's designed to break apart into individual elements, it means that if you drop it on the floor, you don't have to rebuy it, you can just fix it. And also, if you see possible improvements for a set you own, you can actually make them quite easily, because you can add your own pieces to it and modify it or create your own design, and you don't even have to keep the set as the set either. You can break it up and turn it into something else, so it feels like it's never going to go stale, it's never going to be unworthy, and you feel like that you're never going to get bored of it, because there's always options of changing it, there's always things it can change into. It doesn't lose its value even if you don't want what you've bought the product as. because the pieces are just as valuable to you whatever you make them into, because those pieces are universal. They have a universal system of brick that attaches to one another, and it doesn't limit itself to one type of object. Even Lego pieces, when they're not built into anything, just scattered, can even be colourful and can even be art if it's done in the right way. You could even do a collage of just scattered bricks if you really wanted to and didn't want to make anything. That's how much possibility it has, and why broken Lego isn't always a bad thing. And the 10th and final reason to have Lego is because it's great for your mental health. It benefits you in lots of ways mentally. It can benefit your health mentally because it's something stimulating. The colours can brighten up your mood when you look at them. And the tangible benefits of actually feeling the textures of the brick is very good for mindfulness, and also even the sounds that the bricks make when you connect them together can be great for mindfulness too. It's distracting, but not overly distracting. It's something that you can focus on other than yourself. Not only that, but the fact that you can create things that you like and are passionate about means that you feel in a positive state of mind, because it's something that is personal to you, but doesn't have to be something negative that's in your outer realms of your life. It can make you see the world in a different way. You see the world in its textures and its shapes, as opposed to its personal, horrible reasons that you might think things happen in the world, or things that you may look too deeply into. You will see it for things that are more natural, and you'll learn to appreciate things that you wouldn't have normally appreciated. I personally find that it's useful for my mental health, especially when I'm anxious or stressed. It's quite calming to put pieces together, even if they're repetitive, because it's something that is very involved in what you're doing, both physically and mentally at the same time. I feel like this is probably the most important reason that Lego is a very good thing to have, more than the other reasons, because obviously your health should come first. You can find out more about mindfulness and how Lego helps mindfulness in the book that I've read by Abby Hedon, which is called Build Yourself Happy. That will tell you more on the subject too. Anyway, they're the 10 reasons I give why you should have Lego. There are plenty of other great reasons and things that I could go into, but they're the top reasons I thought of. And they're great to have these reasons in case someone says to you, why do you like Lego, or why wouldn't you like it? And you can explain to them why. And if you think about it, it's not that difficult to come up with these reasons, because actually they're quite clear if you have done Lego yourself. Anyway, that's just what I think, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening.